Hello, everyone. Welcome to this exclusive video interview series as part of our ebook, The Broken Candidate Experience. Here's How to Fix It, brought to you by ETHRWorld Southeast Asia in association with Paradox. I'm Yasmin Taj, editor, ETHRWorld International and head branded content for the Economic Times. As part of this exclusive ebook, we bring to you in-depth insights from leading talent leaders across Southeast Asia, where they will reveal some interesting narratives and learnings on how to win and retain the right talent by offering an authentic and positive candidate experience, which makes hiring easier, faster, and impactful. The last few tumultuous years have paradoxically changed the meaning of work, careers, and workforce. People want to feel related and connected to the organization they work for and they want to work with. They're looking for meaning and purpose. No longer do employees have the opportunity to cash in the immense talent available. It is a candidate-driven market indeed, where employees are the choosers. And the war for talent has only intensified. This year and beyond would be no different. Inflation, recession, layoffs, and cost of hiring will all add to the challenges for the CHROs and their recruitment teams. So in this interview, we will try and look at why HR and recruitment leaders need to take urgent action on their current candidate experience to attract the right talent. And to drive this conversation, I'm really excited to have Asep Susilo, who's Chief Human Capital and Corporate Affairs at Suntory Garuda Beverage, an HR professional with more than 25 years of extensive experience working in both multinational and local companies. Asep looks after HR, office management, legal and compliance, communication, and corporate affairs at Suntory Garuda Beverages. He has passion in coaching people, developing young talent and future leaders, as well as sharing thoughts to others through sharing sessions, group discussions, and delivering public seminars and workshops. Hi, Asep. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Same here. And next up, we have Zhenlin Ong, who's Director Client Success at Paradox. With over 15 years of work experience, Zhenlin is responsible for leading the strategy and execution of client success services. Prior to this, she was in a similar role with Cornerstone On Demand and ADP. Hi, Zhenlin. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks, Yasmin. Very happy to be back here.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to some great discussion and conversation and garnering some good insights on how we can create better candidate experiences. So let's start with the first question right away. Asep, I'd love to hear you first. So what kind of impact do you think that a bad candidate experience can have on recruitment and business as a whole?
Well, thank you for the question, Yasmin. Actually, when we are talking about the candidate experience, we are talking about, like the access to the people or candidates to get the jobs up until, like if they are passing all of the selections to get the onboarding processes with the company. So I think the bad candidate experience is not only, like impacting to the process of the hiring itself, can be, prolonged or can be, like taking more time to get the right candidate. But also, I think it might impact also to the business for sure, directly and indirectly, because when we expected to get the right candidate within like 1 month, because as HR or TNC, we have one of the KPI is time to fill up the candidates. But if it is missing, that we cannot achieve, it might impact also that the business will lose the momentum to get the right candidate to run the certain project or activities to support the business objective. So I think the impact actually to the business itself, to the process of the recruitment itself. And then I think last but not least, this is also important because sometimes when people got the bad candidate experience, I think they can talk to others candidate. They can talk to the others that, okay, I have not really interesting or good experience following the selection process in the certain company. So I think that's about the image and reputation of the company itself.
Yes, I so agree with you. I think these 3 pointers, when you have to have the right fit of talent at the right time, I think that's a huge challenge. And if you kind of mess up with the candidate experience, you lose at the very beginning of the cycle of hiring. So that's an interesting point. And as you said, the reputation also gets hampered at that point because people go ahead and talk. Zhenlin, I'd love to hear your view. You've worked with multiple organizations. How do you think a bad candidate experience can impact business overall?
Yeah, exactly. And I completely agree with what Asep mentioned. And it sums up or boils down actually to one thing, time, right? Timeliness of how we respond to candidates, timeliness of getting the hire through this new employee into the business, so that you can ramp up this employee fast and this person becomes an operating part of your business, contributing to the bottom line as well. I think where we are looking at time and timeliness of all these responses in the recruitment cycle, candidate experiences where we're expecting as consumers, right, that we get immediate response. Gone are the days where you apply and then, wait for 2 weeks and that's normal. That's not something that people feel normal anymore, right? We make a booking, for example, for a restaurant, and we expect instant response that, yes, we've got your booking. And I think that's the experience a lot of people are expecting today, right? Whatever they are experiencing in their daily lives is going to translate to what they want out of a job application, a response from a prospective employer. And especially if they feel valued, like when I make an application and I'm valued by this employer, this prospective employer, because they're responding to me very quickly. They're telling me, they're giving me updates of all steps of the process that I'm going through. Is my application being reviewed? Or I'm just sitting in the bucket somewhere and nobody actually touched my application just yet. So people are looking for that kind of candidate experience where it's very high touch, very similar to how they're expecting their consumer grade experience in their daily lives today. And that's going to really help drive businesses in improving how they're turning around the whole hiring process, right? The time to hire needs to be shorter so that you get an effective new candidate into your business faster, contributing to the bottom line, contributing back to the business. And then that's the overall positive business impact that we're hearing a lot of clients mention as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, I think, Zhenlin, because time is of essence here, right? It's so important because in times of instant gratification that you just said, we look for that in every aspect of our life. So why a delay in process of hiring? So Asep, I'd like to ask you, so do you agree, right, that delays in the hiring process when everything is so time bound becomes a major contributor to bad candidate experience? So what potential damages do you think an inefficient recruitment process can cause to the talent pipeline and business?
Because sometimes, this is also the mindset. In the past, for example, as a HR, or as a PNC, when we hire the people, sometimes if the candidate is not really meeting the expectation, without informing them, actually, they will feel by themselves that they are not being accepted by the company. But this is, not really good mindset. At this point in time, basically, people really would like to know about the transparency. They would like to know the process of the recruitment, the timeline. And I think the faster we can give the feedback to them, actually, is good. So now, actually, the world is changing. So I think we are really putting into the account that we need to, put the transparency and then solid process, and to communicate even the result to them. Like the feedback from the interview, for example. And people really appreciate when the company, put the job vacancy, for example, in the system. They can apply it automatically. They can upload the resume, and after that, they know the timeline of people on completing the process of the selection itself. And each time, because sometimes when we're talking about the interview, if in the beginning we don't know, this will be 5 times, 6 times after the aptitude test, or after another assessment, that will be also not good, because I think the candidate has such time of consideration if they have any other opportunity. So for me, I think to set the right process of the hiring, to set the right timeline for the process of the hiring itself, and the transparency, to give the feedback in the system, it's really key also for us. And then this is like I said or mentioned earlier, it might impact also to the reputation of the company. It might impact also to the interesting or the engagement of the candidate itself at the end.
Yes, exactly. I absolutely agree with you, Asep. I think, yes, time bound is so important. And then I love the point on transparency and communicating with your candidates. Even if you're not hiring them, there has to be a timeline as to when you go back to them and tell them that, this is our response to your application. That kind of communication makes you a better a more proactive employer, and people look at you like that in terms of your employer brand as well. And that overall impacts your candidate experience, your business, your reputation, everything. So thanks for sharing that. Zhenlin, I'd like to ask you, how do you see the role of technology in enhancing the speed and efficiency of a recruitment process, which will eventually add to the candidate experience? And if you have any examples that you've seen in your experience, it'll be lovely to hear about how automation and AI can help.
Yeah, absolutely. We have so many examples of how automation and AI can help with that. Right from the recruiter's point of view, when you're talk about scheduling interviews, right? It's that when you're actually trying to really speak to this top talent that you've identified, and you want them to speak to the hiring manager or the interview panel as quickly as possible. But we're finding that a lot of clients, when they come to us with that problem statement, they're actually saying things like, I have a lot of coordination work to do. Like, my recruiters are spending all day on emails, on chat, on the phone, just trying to coordinate interviews. Now, we want to remove that barrier away. We want to remove that manual human intervention away and get AI to do this, because an AI can be a lot more efficient, run 24/7, be able to match up calendars of multiple people, and then offer the candidate the opportunity to select times that are convenient to them, and also support the candidate through the process. If they have an emergency that comes up and they do need to reschedule, they can actually talk to the AI and then do that rescheduling without having the human intervention and then another round of back and forth. So we think that AI is coming in not to replace the human touch, right? But to make it more efficient so that you get the human touch faster. You get to speak to a real person in the company much faster. And then the candidate's going to learn a lot more about, okay, this is a wonderful employer brand. I can identify with the people who work there. I'm getting in touch with the recruiters or the hiring managers really quickly to learn about the company, rather than just sitting there finding it so difficult to actually get an interview scheduled. So that's one of the major pain points that we often hear and are able to help many of our clients alleviate, basically reducing their time to schedule interviews from sometimes it was like weeks on end to days or even hours and minutes. So just really helping them alleviate a lot of that manual labor. And also from the candidate's perspective, we just often hear that if you are hiring blue collar or ground staff, they might be not looking at emails, right? They will be on their mobile phones. That's the best way to reach out to them to schedule an interview, or that's the best way for them to receive any messages or reminders about the interview. So we're able to help a lot of our clients drop the no-show rates for interviews for a lot of this ground staff, blue-collar workers, because they're getting reminders on their mobile phones that, hey, you have an interview in 24 hours, or you have an interview in an hour. And that really helps because no one's actually checking their emails. They might miss a reminder on their calendars, right? But if they're getting a text reminder, you're really not going to miss it. So that's another way where we're bringing the consumer grade experience, the timeliness of the touch point, and bringing the efficiency in the back end for the recruiters and rounding it out for interview scheduling. Just that's one very strong use case that we often see for our clients.
I think those are some great examples. I think technology, as you said, is an enabler. It'll empower the hiring teams to get rid of those mundane tasks. Let technology take care of that, the repetitive things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis, and make it quicker for the human touch to reach the candidate. That's a great point that you shared, actually. And how can you make communicating easier by using technology? How can you, those touch points that are required in an entire hiring process? I think technology can really take that steps to a faster time. Asep, your thoughts around how technology can help, and in your organization, have you used such technology in order to speed up your hiring process?
Thank you, Yasmin, and also Zhenlin. I think it's good sharing. So for me, actually, from time to time, we need to do the continuous improvement, in the hiring process itself. And normally, when we are talking about the improvement, we are talking about the process, we are talking about the technology that support our process, and we are talking also about the operating models. I mean, this is more on the operation. How do we, do this kind of hiring? Talking about the technology, yes, in our company, we have the technology, at least from the internal perspective, because before we do the hiring, there is such kind of the internal coordination, from the job requisitions and everything that now actually is already being in place in the system. When the hiring managers, and then also the recruiters actually know it automatically in the system, whether when is generated automatically when, for example, this is like replacement position when the candidate resign from the company, or if it is, like new created positions, which is must go to the, manpower acquisition form, which is already generated also from the system and through the approval process. So I think internally it's going to be more structures and actually in a good governance process in terms of the hiring process. And then the second one, actually, I still remember maybe like 10 years ago when the candidate came for interview, they need to fill up a lot of forms, yeah, on the bio form and everything for the, purpose of the recruitment. But now actually no longer. This is with the season of the technology, everything can be automated. Yeah, people can, like fill up the form online. And even, we arrange the onboarding process through the, a technology. We have the online approach. So I think this really helpful, yeah, for us in the recruitment process to become faster, more efficient, yeah. And actually, it's really being appreciated also by the candidates, yeah. I think that's the beauty of technology support to the hiring process.
Yeah, that's a great thought, actually, Asep, that how can you take care of those initial steps, especially filling up forms, scheduling interviews, doing follow-ups. I think those all things, if technology can manage, for the hiring manager, they can also put their thoughts and time for other deeper processes and on how to make the whole process more seamless for the potential candidates that we're hiring. Any other thoughts, Zhenlin and Asep, on how we can make our hiring processes better and more efficient and, kind of match up with time, efficiency at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with everything that Asep is saying around business process improvement, because it's not a once-off change. It's not just put in technology and it's going to work by itself, right? A lot of times before we actually put in the technology, we have to rethink what we're doing every single day. Some things that are maybe status quo normal for us, right? Business as usual for us. Maybe when we think about implementing a new technology, we need to rethink our processes, do away with things that are not efficient or can be replaced with technology, with a new way of thinking how technology can help you be efficient. Definitely something that's not a lift and shift. And we see clients going through that change management process internally as they're rethinking what they're doing today, retrofitting what is really essential to what capabilities exist today with the automation that's in place. Hive off work that the system can do and get our recruiters to focus on the people element of things. And that's really the mantra of Paradox, right? We believe that all recruiters deserve an assistant so that they can spend more time with people and not software. They are that value add that represents your employer brand, that touch point, the first touch point with your candidates. And that's what we really want our recruiters, our clients' recruiters to be focused on. Spend time with people, spend time with candidates. Don't be in the system all the time. Let the system do the automation.
Exactly. I think that's what recruiters need to really, really learn to take care. Let or technology take care of that part. You need to connect with people. You need to be that point that kind of represents your employer brand to the potential candidates out there. So you're the first person they're seeing. So that you need to really work upon. Interesting points, Zhenlin. Coming to another important point on ROI on the investment. How can that impact, a business? What ROI, when you invest in a good candidate experience, what ROI can you expect, especially on business? Asep, I'd like to hear you first.
Yeah, I think agree at the end, the investment we made, actually, we should prove that this is generating the good positive ROI to the business, including in the hiring process. So for me, if we have a good hiring process with a good technology or system that we use, you can imagine, from the process point of view, it can be faster, and then it can be, tapping into the good quality decision. Because again, I think I just would like to comment to the, the earlier question, technology help us in terms of giving the access to the candidate to, to find the job. Technology giving the assistance for us to make the interview process or scheduling faster. Technology made, us to, make some, the conclusion at the end, the quality of decision of the hiring process. This is really good. So at the end, if we do it properly and good in all of the process, we get the right candidates, because sometimes even though for the interview, yeah, we have like only 45 minutes, 60 minutes, but this need to be so-called the firm that we find the right candidate for our company. So if you can imagine, if for example the candidate is not really meeting the expectation and it's not having the culture fit, and just 2 months, 3 months after that leaving the company again, and then we need to find another like candidate to replace. So it's not really expected, and might impact also to the cost that company need to pay. Yeah, so I think this is really helpful for us, yeah, to measure also the ROI of the investment. Yeah.
Yes, Zhenlin, your thoughts on ROI, because I'm sure a lot of your clients must be asking that question to you, that how do you justify the investment in candidate experience? Please let us know how can you justify that?
Yeah, I think in the previous session, we've talked about whether it's cost or profit to the business, right? Whether you're adding positively to the bottom line or ensuring that it's you're not losing money because you don't have people on the ground doing the work that needs to get done. You don't have revenue that is lost because you don't have salespeople on the ground doing the sales for you, or you don't have operations that are running because you don't have the right number of operators in your factories and things like that. But at the same time, when we look at ROI, it's also a long-term view of our talent community. And exactly what Asep said, right? We want to leave our candidates with the right employer brand. We want to leave them whichever stage of the recruitment cycle they're in, even if they're disqualified right now. Maybe they're not a great fit right now. Maybe we just hired someone who was just better fit for now, but we still want to keep all these candidates, this silver medalist candidates, right, as part of the talent pool, because they are still important for us to tap on when the business starts expanding, or when we have a replacement for a headcount. And especially when it comes to business expansion and replacement of headcount, you want to be able to tap into people that you've spoken to before. Maybe they're silver medalists, but they are still really good candidates that you want to reconsider them for. Now, how do we reach out to them? If they didn't have a great impression of the company from before, then that's going to be an issue, and that's going to put you in this cycle of, okay, it's going to be a very long cycle to from time to hire again. So you don't want to start from scratch. You want to start from a base, a talent pool that you have already accumulated from the previous cycles. So that's something that I think, as we're thinking about ROI, a slightly different lens on how we're thinking on reducing the time to hire, not just on the process level, but at a wider, long term. It's a longer game that we're looking at when businesses are improving their employer brands, keeping the candidates warm and happy, and even when we don't hire them, leaving them with a very good experience overall.
Exactly. I think I totally agree with you. ROI is a very long-term aspect also. When you look at it, when it improves your employer brand, you have a candidate bench that you can actually fall back up to, because they consider you a good employer and they might want to join you. Also, it helps in attrition and retention also after they've joined and they're on board, because then they consider the experience for them during the hiring process has been good. It kind of leads them to stay on longer and be more loyal to the company. So great points there. So coming to the final segment of this conversation, Asep, I'd like to understand from you metrics. I think those are very, very important. So are there any metrics that you use to track what is and how is a good candidate experience measured? And, how can you measure the impact of a great candidate experience according to you?
Well, again, another good question, Yasmin. I think there is a few things. One, actually, from the candidate perspective, yeah. We need to get the feedback from them. That's why in every step of the process, though the candidate is not passing as like the selected candidate, but we ask them like to fill up the feedback on every hiring process we have. So which is good for us to get the input and insight for them for the improvement. The second one, basically, after the candidate also joining, we have like onboarding program, and we have like metrics to measure, yeah. First 30 days, first 60 days, and first 90 days, yeah. So how then like he can see the company, how he can adapt, and what is also the view and expectation also coming from the superior, basically, or the managers looking at the people and setting up the like 3 months, first 3 months objective that need to follow and to be measured. So I think that's the one that I have. apart from this one, for sure, I think in the hiring process, when we put all of the process system in place altogether, we are also measured by how fast we are in terms of getting the right candidate, which is time to fill, actually one of the metrics that being measured for us in HR or as a recruiters. I think, and that's all, yeah, from my perspective.
Yeah, great points, Asep. I think feedback, especially people who are yet to join your organization about the experience of hiring, to people who have been onboarded already, great point there. And also measuring time. I think that's very, very crucial when we're talking about very, fastening up the whole hiring process and making it more efficient. Great points. Zhenlin, your thoughts around how do you think and what metrics can be used in order to, measure a great candidate experience according to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We have clients who are also looking at it from the lens of cost to hire, not just time to hire. If you think about the amount of spend you do with advertising, whether it's on job boards or any other platforms that you're advertising for jobs, the amount of time that you're spending for recruiters or recruiting agencies to help hire for a headcount, those are all the costs of hiring that we're helping clients to reduce just by increasing the pace of responding back to candidates and making sure that we're fulfilling the time to hire, dropping at the cost to hire at the same time. The other thing I wanted to just touch on, and I know we didn't spend a lot of time talking about, is things like assessments during the interview or the hiring process. And then one of the things that we do as well is we have a assessments product in our suite that does do a 90 second assessment for candidates. And it's literally that quick to do it in the flow of the application conversation itself. But more importantly, it's an opportunity for us to come back after this candidate's hired, because your assessment results is going to tell you that this is one of the top tier candidates, and that's why you should be interviewing this person. And then the hiring decision is made by the hiring team. And once you've hired that, you actually want to know and validate if that assessment result is actually accurate, right? And you want to do this with proper metrics like performance review scores. And when we look back at that and compare the results, that's when we truly know, okay, is this working or is it not? Is there something we need to change? Are our assumptions correct about what this role requires in order to be an excellent performer? So those things actually comes back to looking at the metrics over a long course of time. And this will be metrics that are relevant not just for the short term. It's always going to be long-term metrics that we're comparing year on year, quarter on quarter, on how we're actually doing in ensuring that the candidates that you're putting through the process is indeed going to be performing at the rate that you want this person to be.
That's a great point to add the assessment. While you're looking at cost to hire, time to hire, I think managing and looking at how you can, measure assessments and put them as a process of your entire hiring process. That's also a very, very important point. So thanks for sharing that, Zhenlin. Coming to the final question for the both of you, and Asep, I'd love to hear you first here. How do you think can we finally tie the outcome of a good candidate experience with business goals and outcomes? Again, it's all about business at the end of it. So how do you tie that together?
Well, for me, I think the good candidate experience, the outcome actually might create the people or the candidate as the new joiner with the high engagement from the beginning. And I do believe people with a high engagement, when they join the company, they will give even more than 100% of their potential, 100% of the more than 100% of the contribution to do their best to support or achieve company goals. So I think this is a positive correlation between the two. So I believe, so with creating a good candidate experience will generate the strong engagement of the candidate, and the successful candidate will join with us, will be the best candidate who can contribute to the best of the company objective or goals.
Absolutely. Yes. I think an engaged employee, a motivated employee will have better productivity, obviously. And when it's better productivity, it ends up in better business results also. Great. Zhenlin, your final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we're in an age where, we've never left the age of word of mouth, right? But even more so now with social media and people being so much more connected. And that's what I think the business is going to be able to leverage on when you have a positive impact in the hiring process on the candidate, whether they're hired or not hired, that's going to carry through in word of mouth, especially if the candidate is indeed hired and they want to contribute back to the business, just like Asep said, right? They're engaged, they're very happy as they're starting their work, and they want to contribute back to the business by referring another great candidate that they know of. And that's going to be the snowball effect with the word of mouth. Yeah, so I think there's really a lot that we need to focus on to get the candidate experience right, because the extent of the impact is really, really quite wide.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great point to kind of summarize the entire discussion with. As employers, we need to build that employer brand, because in today's world where the war for talent is so intense, it's word of mouth, it's your reputation. And a candidate experience is the first step where a potential or an onboard employee gets to understand you and know you as an employer. So if you said that right, and if you know how to build a good candidate experience, it eventually leads to lesser cost to hire, lesser time to hire, better engagement with your newer employees, your prospective employees. And obviously, once those employees are on board, it leads to better productivity, hence resulting in business results as well. So I think that's how we should look at why we should fix a broken candidate experience as soon as we can, and create those kind of touch points by using technology in whichever manner way we can, where we build a seamless experience for people who are trying to come and join our organization. So on that note, Zhenlin, Asep, it was a pleasure talking to the both of you. There was so much to learn. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care and bye-bye, everyone watching. Please do watch the other episodes on this ebook as well. Thank you and take care.